Well, it's time now for a roundup of the day's top business news. And for that, I'm joined here in the studio by France 24's business. Brian Quinn. Brian, you're starting with that hefty fine for Boeing over charges that the company misled investors about the safety of its 737 MAX airplane amid a series of dramatic crashes.
Indeed, Aaron, Boeing is now set to pay $200 million to settle civil charges filed by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. America's top markets regulator had accused the aviation giant of making false statements about safety issues with its best-selling jet, the 737 MAX. The model was involved in two crashes that killed nearly 350 people in 2018 and 2019, with the MAX then grounded for 20 months. Those crashes blamed on flight control software known as MCAS, which put the MAX into steep nosedives based on faulty sensor data. Boeing CEO at the time, Dennis Muilenburg, assured the public that the MAX was safe to fly. The SEC, though, says he knew MCAS posed a serious safety risk. The crashes have already cost Boeing some $20 billion in total, including compensation to victims' families. Muilenburg was fired in 2020. He is set to pay a $1 million settlement on those SEC charges. Here's one of his statements from 2019.
I can also tell you that we have looked deeply at the MAX and its design and the processes over the last year. And the software update, we have extraordinary confidence in. As I said, we've flown 700 test flights.
On to the UK next, where new Finance Minister Kwasi Kwarteng is set to unveil a mini budget on Friday aimed at kickstarting economic growth amid decades-high inflation. The 30-point plan includes scrapping planned tax increases on both salaries and corporate profits, as new Prime Minister Liz Truss pursues a program of supply-side trickle-down economics. Government borrowing, meanwhile, will rise sharply amid new emergency measures to help businesses and households pay their skyrocketing energy bills. Well, it comes as the UK and its trade with the EU is in a precarious position over London's move to unilaterally revise the Brexit agreement's Northern Ireland Protocol. That plan is also holding up a potential new trade deal between the UK and the US amid objections from American lawmakers. UK Foreign Secretary James Cleverly says a bill to override the Northern Ireland Protocol in Parliament should not preclude negotiations with the EU. Here he is.
We all want to see the executive restored, and we want to see free-flowing trade both between Ireland and Northern Ireland and between Northern Ireland and the rest of the UK. That's our collective goal. That's what we are working towards, and I detect a real atmosphere of goodwill. We all want to get this resolved and resolved quickly, and I think that's a good starting point.
Time for a check-in on the day's trading action. Asian indexes sinking on Friday as investors look at ongoing interest rate hikes around the world with increasing trepidation. The U.S. Federal Reserve's 0.75% hike on Wednesday of particular concern as Fed Chief Jerome Powell is signaling an aggressive stance to come in the upcoming year. Asian inflation figures also weighing on markets. Tokyo's exchange is closed on Friday. The yen, though, gaining against the dollar after the Japanese government intervened to prop it up late Thursday. The yuan continuing to weaken against the dollar as Chinese indexes mark some losses on Friday. The Kospi in Seoul down around 1.8%, just ahead of the closing bell there. Next, Lebanese banks will remain closed Friday as the country's commercial banking trade group has rejected a proposed security plan put forth by the government. Lebanon's banks have seen a wave of protests and holdups as depositors demand the right to access their own savings that had been frozen by withdrawal limits. Those desperate measures have turned several Lebanese citizens into folk heroes, including a woman who held up a Beirut bank branch for around $13,000 worth of her own money to pay for her sister's cancer treatment. Banks say the government's plan puts too much of the burden for branch security on them. Financial analysts warn that a prolonged closure will only exacerbate the country's ongoing economic freefall.
I think that the shutdown will continue, and the main effect will be that companies who depend on banks will have to shut down, especially those with business relationships outside of Lebanon. They will have to move their business outside of Lebanon, and this is a deadly effect.
And finally, for business, Tesla has been ordered to recall more than 1 million of its vehicles in the U.S. The problem, it's not battery fires nor autopilot crashes. Now, the issue here is that passengers might get their fingers pinched in the vehicle's windows. U.S. highway regulators say Tesla's automatic reversal system may not react quickly enough when it detects an obstruction in a closing window. The company says the problem can be fixed via an over-the-air software update, and that, to its knowledge, the issue has not been implicated in any crashes, injuries, or deaths. Maybe some fingy pinchies, though, Aaron.
Still not great for children.
If you've ever gotten caught, I have managed to do it myself, not in a Tesla, but
All right.
it hurts.
Okay, Brian Quinn with Business, thank you.